Hi, welcome to The Inner Way. Today's program is entitled The Four Words. Yes, today's program is entitled The Four Words. I wanted to shoot that opening section while I was on a golf course to emphasize that this is not the four-letter words, but the four words. Anyway, hi, welcome to The Inner Way, a program exploring the spirituality of the Orthodox Church. I'm your host, Father David Smith. This is our 13th program. I used to hold up my fingers, but I don't have enough now. The 6th in a series on the spiritual discipline of Hesychia, which can be translated as stillness or inner peace. I've been using the writings of Saint Ezechias from the Philokalia for the last few programs, and you might think that because of his name, I'm reading him because he writes about Hesychia. He does in a way, and I'll get to that, but the original title of his book, the way he wrote it, was Nipsis ke Aretis, which can be translated accurately as Watchfulness and Virtue. The English translation of the Philokalia calls it Watchfulness and Holiness. Neither of those words, you may have noticed, is Hesychia. So, in the last few programs, I've mentioned four Greek words that pertain to the spiritual life, words used by Saint Ezechias: aretis, nepsis or nipsis, proschoi, and Hesychia. They're all very similar in meaning, but also have their differences. I'll explain those differences like this. Let's imagine we're going hunting. I'm using hunting because Saint Ezechias used the word method in his opening paragraph, in fact, in his opening sentence, which, if you remember, comes from the Greek meta, after, and odos, way. It refers to the act of pursuing something, or, for the sake of this illustration, hunting something. So, if you want to go hunting right at this moment, would you be able to? Some of you watching this right now would be able to. You'd be able to jump up, grab a gun, go outside, and start looking for prey. My great uncle was like that, but not very many of us are like that, and none at all. And probably none at all. I think that many of you have maybe not even been hunting once. But stay with me and imagine that we've decided to go hunting. What do we need to do? Well, first, we need to get the proper gear and a weapon. This corresponds to aretis, or virtue. We've talked about the four virtues. The thing to remember is that these prepare us to be spiritual people. They provide a foundation for the other spiritual disciplines. This is why Ezechias mentions them in the first paragraph of his book. They are the foundation. Virtue begins in reflection and in the desire to be moral, to be good. So, aretis in hunting is when we go out, we get good clothing, warm if we need it, camouflage if we need it, something that can stand up to crawling through the forest on our tummies if we have to. And a good gun with ammunition, something designed to hunt the kind of game that we want to bring home. But we're not ready to go yet. Second, we need to know how to use the gun and be able to shoot straight. This corresponds to nipsis or nepsis, watchfulness. I pronounce it nepsis. I'm going to stick with nepsis. Watchfulness is practice where we learn how sin overcomes us and we devise ways to keep it from happening. Watchfulness is the practice of looking inward to our thoughts and our desires, to our temptations and our habits. As Saint Ezekiel says, be watchful as you travel each day the narrow but joyous and exhilarating road of the mind, keeping your attention humbly in your heart, reproaching yourself, ready to rebut your enemies, thinking of your death and invoking Jesus Christ. You will then attain a vision of the Holy of Holies and be illumined by Christ with deep mysteries. See how he describes nepsis as an inner discipline. So nepsis in hunting means we have the gun, but we need to learn to use it, hold it, feel it, learn where the ammunition goes in and how to reload in the field, how to clean it, and then practice shooting so that you're going to hit the thing that you are shooting at. Third, we need to go to a place where we can hunt. This corresponds to prosihie, or attentiveness. I know I'm introducing a word you haven't heard me use very much before, maybe just once, but it appears often in the Philokalia. Attentiveness is like nepsis, but the focus is different. Rather than looking inward, you look outward. Think of a waiter keeping his attention on someone in order to be of service to that person. This is attentiveness. It focuses completely on God. You're the waiter. God is the customer. You can't do this outside the church. Perhaps you can spiritually, but it's impossible physically. So prosihie in hunting means you have to go to a place where hunting can be done safely. I can't walk outside myself and hunt, even though there are deer literally all over the place. But my great uncle could. He lived in northern Appalachia in a sparsely populated area, and I saw him grab his gun, walk outside, and shoot a squirrel, bring it back in, and make a stew. But either way, you need to be there. Put your mind on God, even right now, and you're there. You're doing prosihie, attentiveness. This is the way Ezekiel described attentiveness. The more closely attentive you are to your mind, the greater the longing with which you will pray to Jesus. And the more carelessly you examine your mind, the further you will separate yourself from him. Just as close attentiveness brilliantly illumines the mind, so the lapse from watchfulness and from the sweet invocation of Jesus will darken it completely. All this happens naturally, not in any other way, and you will experience it if you test it in practice. For there is no virtue, least of all this blessed light-generating activity, which cannot be learnt from experience. Fourth, when we arrive at the place where we want to begin hunting, we need to be quiet and watch carefully for our quarry. This corresponds to Ezekiel, or stillness. It may seem to my illustration that this is sort of the pinnacle of the spiritual life, the moment of truth, as it were, but that doesn't capture the importance of everything that has come before. If the foothills are not there, can there be a mountain? If preparation is absent, can anything be accomplished? Of course not. We desire stillness in our pursuit of virtue. in our watchfulness, in our attentiveness. Stillness, which can be described as inner peace, permeates the whole journey. Isikia is the inner way. Well, I hope I have given a little idea of the words that are most important in the work we're studying by Saint Ezekias. The words we use are important. They come from our minds, but they also form our minds. I don't want you to learn the Greek words. The English are going to serve us just fine. Virtue, watchfulness, attentiveness, and stillness. These are our goals, brothers and sisters, in this journey of the inner way. Well, we're going to move on to another paragraph of St. Ezekias next week, where he speaks about watchfulness and the guarding of the mind and the heart against demonic temptation. I hope you join us, and until then, see you in church.